Grigion here, live here in New York City. Thank you so much for joining me. Another great evening. Thank you so much to so many folks. Let's go by the list. Ariel Martinez, how are you? Rosemary McCullough, thank you. Romy Barres Flores, thank you so much for joining me. Tina, like always, thank you so much. Patricia, Tammy. We're about to bring up two great guests today. They are in Washington, D.C., and our two great guests are Marcos Gutierrez, the co-founder for Latinos for Trump, and also EDWIN DUTERTE, candidate for the 43rd District, Congressional District out there in California, taking on Maxine Waters. So I'm going to be bringing my guests up in a little bit. They're in Washington, D.C. at a Latino coalition. So it's going to be exciting. And let me see if I bring my guests up. Bear with me 1 second. Thank you so much. Henry Grigion live here on my page. And thank you so much. I had a great week this week.
Oh, we got a whole bunch. Let's bring it back this way.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Hey, Henry, I'm gonna have you look at. Just sit right there. That's fine.
Okay.
I can be on the side. No, push it back.
Tell me who your guest is. Tell me.
Sharon, you get it a little closer. We're
We don't bite.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
You know, I know we're concerned.
You gotta get it a little closer.
I'm right here. Do you see me?
I see a part of you, Marco. A part of you.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, we got
I know
you.
we're conservative, but Edwin was saying we're gonna do a three-way, and I didn't know what he was like.
Four-way. That's what it is.
Wait a minute, we conservatives, be careful there. Be careful. Thank you so much for joining me. We have, again, Marcos Gutierrez, co-founder of Latinos for Trump, EDWIN DUTERTE, candidate for the 43rd Congressional District in California. Please, guys, tell me who this lovely guest that you have next to you, and she can introduce herself.
Hi, Henry.
This is Dr. Annette Teijeiro. She's from South Nevada, and we're hoping she will run for either Senate, U.S. Senate, or another congressional office.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor. Welcome aboard. This is Henry Grigion Live.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a lot of Trump supporters that are out there going to be watching this, a lot of patriots, and a lot of good Americans. Thank you so much for joining us. This is great. You guys are at the Latino Coalition. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, and the Latino Coalition is headed by Hector Barreto, and Hector Barreto used to serve as the SBA leader during the Bush administration.
Okay.
This is mine. And and there was quite a few dignitaries here. We had Sean Duffy was one of the guest speakers.
Another congressman.
Congressman Duffy, Congressman Roskin. But we, basically it was an economic forum. Centered
we had
on
the secretary
the treasurer.
No, we had the treasurer, but we also had the secretary of commerce.
Oh yeah, Secretary of Commerce was here too.
Wilbur
Ross. So
you got heavy hitters.
Yeah, it was heavy hitters.
We were supposed to have Rick Perry, but he got called because of all the stuff that's been happening in Florida. The president wanted him to be there to assess some of the EPA issues that had.
Wow! This is incredible. I mean, this is incredible.
Then tomorrow, Dr. Annette is going to be going to the White House for the White House briefing, and hope I'm still on the guest list, but it's not looking good for me. But she's going to the White House tomorrow. And it's going to be pretty amazing. And, we got a lot of support, especially in the Latino community.
Do you think you can go live on the White House, Doctor?
I don't know, because sometimes they don't let you even have your phone. They'll make you leave your purses somewhere else when they have events there. So I'm not sure. It's sort of like when you go and you visit in the Senate galleys or the House galley. They take away your phone. They take away everything. You have to check everything in.
For security reasons, I could imagine.
Yeah,
wow.
I understand. But let me tell you, the body language that you observe from those galleys, if we could only video that.
Right.
Wow.
The ups and downs and some major stuff. But
so, Edwin, tell me about you guys. Each one of you take turns. Tell me how your day is going. I know Marcos told me he visited the U.S. Senate. I mean, tell me your experiences so everybody can know out there how you guys are doing out there in Washington, D.C.
Well, for me personally, I really got to enjoy the different speakers. The judge from she's a border judge in Texas, and she had an amazing discussion, at the on stage, and then we talked to her about more of her feelings about DACA as well as immigration, and and we could talk about that. Also, personally for me, I talked to different organization groups that will support my campaign. Not only are they Latino based, but the age 60
60 plus.
He took pictures with me, and he supports me. So I might have Pat Boone is one of their biggest spokespersons. So he said he's going to talk to Pat Boone. I don't know how much weight Pat Boone will have in our district, but I'm sure some people will still remember that era. And yeah, it was great networking. I talked to Hector Barreto. I talked to Manny Rosales, and it's just a whole bunch of heavy hitters in the Latino community, and and also the community that also supports Dr. Annette Teijeiro too.
And the neat thing about this kind of conference is it is full. I mean, jam-packed from morning to evening with information about what's going on in our economic for small businesses, the concerns that are out there. Lots of important information to figure out how much the cost of regulation is per employee, which is something that, hits small businesses really hard. So they do an excellent job of getting some speakers that actually command those numbers and are able to give them to us. So we can go back to our fellow constituents and say, hey, look, this is what I know it's going to cost us if we do this. So this is how much we can save. This is how we can help small businesses. Right.
So
I love coming to the Latino Coalition because they always have really good information.
Yeah. And especially, okay. I was going to say, Edwin, especially you, because we spoke about your district in which you job creation, right? So that's one of the things that you're concentrating to see how, if you are elected, how you can work the Congress and then work with your district and how you can have job creation, right?
No, absolutely. And we'll, we networked, even though Chris Garcia is, he was appointed by Trump. He's from Pasadena. He's known to self-describe himself as the homeboy from Los Angeles. So he's the executive director of the Minority Business Development Agency, and he was appointed by Trump, and he also came from the SBA. So we got to reconnect with him, and so once we get into office, we'll already establish relationships, with people, in Congress, with people who are part of the administration, with different agencies. If we're focusing on economic reforms, we need to know.
Which is very important.
Yeah,
very important. So we already have those doors open to us for our constituents. And that's really what Making America Great is about, is returning back to those principles that allows people to build their small businesses, that government isn't in the way. Right. So right now, government stands in the way of a lot of our prosperity, and it's unnecessary, really.
Yeah. And if we're going to drain the swamp, we have to know who the players are, and who are the decision makers, as well as who are the supporting staff, because we don't want to drain the swamp in terms of staffers, in the different agencies. Not so much the staffers in the congressional offices or the senatorial offices. We have to know who the players are, because this is a big town. Well, it's a big but a small town.
Of course. Let me ask you guys. The hot button right now, I know I don't want to touch to it, but we got to touch up on it. DACA. Everybody's losing their minds right now on social media. Everybody who is a Trump supporter, who is for the president, are losing their minds. You and the doctor, please take turns. Tell me what you think and how you can calm the anxieties, because everybody thinks that our president jumped ship. What do you think? Tell me your opinion.
Well, I can address that in a way. Here's part of it. I think people ideally will look at that and perhaps interpret that as a betrayal. Here's what happens. You have to look at the whole picture. This country is full of 317 or 18 million people. Some of those people are here undocumented. The very sad part is that we know that about 800,000 DACA applicants are in that pool of the unknown, undocumented. These are people that when you look at the reality, on average across the country, you spend about $10,000 educating a child in the public school system every year. And if the DACA kids came over as small children, that can be up to $130,000 that you've invested in someone's public education. Fast forward, they also have been educated in a system that only speaks English. Their country of origin may not speak English. So here we have an educated person who could technically become either part of a vocational or some kind of working industry, who masters the language, who was educated in our system, and yet we're going to just close the door because we got to get rid of all the illegals. It's that black and that white. We're going to throw away the $130,000? Is that what you're saying we're going to do? And is that really what this country wanted to do? I invite all of your listeners and viewers to go back and look up Plyler versus Doe and look at what the Supreme Court decided back in that decision in the early 80s and figure out how we got here, because that's how we got here. So we have to find a solution that works somewhere in the middle. And I think our president is starting to try and open up the eyes that this is not as easy. It's actually a very complex issue. And we have to do what's in the best interest of America, not just what we emotionally may be driven to reject. Oh, you violated our laws, you need to go. It's not that black and white. No, you don't need to
You're
go.
legal, you're legal, you're legal.
You don't need to go. My parents didn't need to go. Well, my mom's an American citizen. She's Puerto Rican. But my father was Cuban. So, I mean, he didn't need to go. The idea is that I think the president opened up the dialogue so that people start looking at how complex this issue is and come up with a very logical solution that fits all these 80,000, and you know that there's more than 80,000, and the entire family that may have done what they did. I don't think he did it in a way. I know people may be upset that don't understand the complex picture, but that's what, you know, Edwin and I have been looking at this for a long time and looking to see what is the solution. And it's not as easy as people think it is.
Yeah, and we've been throwing out ideas.
Especially the cost of removal.
Right.
Yes, the cost of removal is also another cost that you have to process.
Right. Right.
And I don't think people are willing
Now,
to give up their Social Security checks to process.
The cost of removal, then you inherit 5 kids.
Thank you. Let's get. We're gonna get the doctor back.
There you go. You were
Marco,
talking,
after
they didn't
you.
see you.
After
Henry.
you, Marco, hold on. After you, we're gonna get to Edwin. But go ahead, and then we're gonna get the doctor to be back on the screen. But go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, it's not just the cost of removal, but then I have some experience on this because of the recovery programs that I volunteer at.
Okay.
We inherit 5 kids because their dad has to leave, and now they're going to go on assistance too.
Yeah.
So those $100,000
For education.
for education, then you're gonna add the removal.
Who are probably U.S. citizen children.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So then it's a huge problem. So yeah, we need to proceed with caution and control our passions.
Very good point, because everybody's very emotional right now on social media, and it's true. You got two sides of it. You got people that are saying they are so emotional and they're saying they can't believe the president did what he did. Then you got another side that is actually saying that we have to think about these 800,000 kids or young adults, what we got to deal with them. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you back to Edwin and Dr. Teijeiro.
Teijeiro.
Teijeiro. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
You know, I kind of like what Judge Moses.
Yeah, well, she had a very interesting perspective, because what happens is when we fail to pass laws that make sense for our country, she sees it in her court. So she spends an inordinate amount of time trying these cases, and that spends taxpayer money, by the way, because we have not taken a look at immigration since the early 80s and actually come up with some solutions for the problems that we have. So what we're doing is we're processing things on the criminal side,
Right.
and we're making it worse. It just keeps snowballing. And truthfully, I'll be honest with you, Henry. My biggest problem with this, and maybe some of your listeners and viewers will understand, look, we have an awful problem in our country. It's called human trafficking, sex trafficking, and drug trafficking. And those things are multiplied by having a system of immigration that is so broken, that is not being followed correctly, and that lots of people are making money off of.
Of course, of course.
And the judge made a great point. Two great points. Number one is, the trafficking. People come here because of economic reasons. Both the people crossing the border, as well as those assisting with the transportation of these people. So it's a matter of numbers. So if someone is paying $5,000 to cross the border, and they're putting 100 people in a trailer, that's a lot. That's big income for
A U.S. citizen, by the way, who's probably doing this.
Yes. So so you got to take out that money part of it out of the equation. But another thing that the judge said that was really interesting is we got to really fix the administration of immigration versus doing the criminality and focusing on the criminality of immigration, because she sees it in a different view that we see. We want everybody to obey the laws. Whether they're citizens or whether they're people from other countries. We are a country of law. But are we keep wasting our resources? We have to fix the administration part, where the process doesn't take 20 years. My family in 1975, we sponsored like 25 of our family members in 1975, from the Philippines. My family didn't come to America until 1987. So, even though we petitioned them in 1975, it took 12 years. So our family waited for that time. So the administration process, at least for my family, took almost over a decade. So we have to figure out.
And that's not uncommon, by the way.
Yeah. So we have to figure out a way to make that administration process a lot smoother. And then once they're here, we got to figure out a way to, get them into our communities, so then they are contributing to our economy.
Hey, Edwin, before let me ask you, and you, doctor, you're half Cuban and half what else? What else you said you were?
Puerto Rican.
So imagine, I want everybody to know that we have 3 proud Latinos who are there right now. All 3 of you are giving an opinion, but all 3 of you are Latinos. I want to let everybody know that, so they can know that you guys are passionate about law and order, but you're also passionate about these human lives that we're talking about. But go ahead, doctor.
No, I think that when you start to look at these big pictures and you start to get the information, and perhaps, when Trump was running back on the campaign trail, he didn't have a lot of the information that now his new administration is getting to him. And these costs, like the judge mentioned, what is that human cost? And how do we solve these very, very serious problems? Because we're talking about American citizens making money off of undocumented workers by either transporting them or using them as a workforce. This is very dicey. So what are we going to do with that? If you do decide to do that, I'm not saying that we should reward people who are criminals.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that's going to take a huge administrative body to be able to accomplish what it is that the black and white, the people that just want to deal in the, okay, you're legal, okay, you're not, kick you out of the country. Are people willing to give away all of their benefits, any aid, anything? Are they willing to sacrifice those federal funds to accomplish a goal that may actually hurt us economically? Because when those people leave the workforce, are we going to have skilled and unskilled labor force to jump right in there and take those jobs? And are they going to want to take those jobs? I mean, for me, it's an eye-opening experience. When I grew up, you had people of all different kinds of races, creeds, whatever, mowing lawns, doing newspaper routes. Now you go and there's almost this caste system that's developing, and part of that is because of the illegal immigration, the human trafficking that's happening. So these are serious issues, and they're multi-level, as the judge said, really.
Yeah, and both of us, Dr. Annette and myself, we don't promote amnesty. You know, 100%. You know, we're not about amnesty.
We tried that in the 80s.
Yeah,
That
we tried
didn't
that
work.
with, yeah.
It didn't work, yeah.
We're back. Okay,
Okay,
yeah. So basically, what we have to do is we have to figure out a solution, and we have to, you know, we need a win-win-win situation. You know,
Absolutely, and we can do that.
yeah. So we have to make the deals.
It just may not be as crystal clear as some people think. It's not an easy thing.
Right.
Let me ask you guys. The whole situation about it's going back to Congress. Do you think, in your opinion, that in 6 months, the way Congress is going with the healthcare bill, tax reform, do you really think they can make something happen on a legislation on this DACA issue?
Let's just say I'm a positive person. I'm going to think positive, but you are right. I am very concerned. This particular Congress is not really a friendly America First Congress. So they're having issues because we elected a president that doesn't fit their mold on either side. And so we elected a president, and then we gave him a Congress, which is the same Congress that we've had for a very long time. We really gave him not a lot of new people, not a lot of people that are like you and me, that are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the really hard, dirty work. So I'm going to be hopeful because I'm always a positive thinker, but you're right. We're talking about people here that are used to doing things in a very systematic fashion that may not be in the best interest of Americans. And I think Americans in general feel that frustration. That's what they voted in the ballot box. I just think that we didn't do it completely. We did it in the White House, but now we have to actually clean Congress, which is one of my hashtags, Clean Congress 2018.
Right. And we need to have people play as a team. You know, like you know, both you know, Dr. Annette and I, you know, we're all about America first, and we really approve of the president's agenda. You know, and we want to support, you know, what the president wants to do, because what he wants to do will help us.
What's right for America.
Exactly. So, you know, so we need to fix Congress and put in people that see his vision. We see his vision, and you know, we want to enhance it and complement him. You know, for the vision that he wants to do.
Because a long time ago, people would be elected, Henry. They would run as a Democrat or run as a Republican, but then when they got here, they'd actually do the people's work. And that's changed a lot. Now it's red shirt, blue shirt game. So
let me ask you guys something. The end of this month is September 30th. The budget year is going to end. We know that the president, I think it's called continuing resolution, 3 months extension until December 8th, I believe it is. Do you guys feel positive about this? Because it just keeps the government running for the next 3 months on a temporary basis. Do you have a good feeling on this? Because after that, they need to come up with a solution. If not, we may see the government possibility shutting down after this continuing resolution.
Well, my feeling is sometimes you need the pain to see the urgency.
Yeah.
So I think you know, with President you know, lighting the fire, and you know, sometimes when he tweets, he does it on, you know, he does it for a purpose, and that purpose, to me, what it looks like is he's trying to force the conversation.
Yep.
You know, because
and he does that a lot.
Yeah. So you know, so that's what I see. It should happen because, you know, other than that, we're gonna have a shutdown. But I think we're both in agreement that we need to be positive, and we need to just keep pushing, you know, our legislature.
We need to light a fire. All of us out there need to light a fire under the constituents that we have in office now. And that way it'll be easier actually to show who it is that's going to work for our president. And the ones that don't, guess what, people? We have an election coming up and we can clean house, so to speak.
Edwin, let me ask you. I know you mentioned a little while ago that Dr. Annette, she's going to be going for what position? Are you trying to encourage her to run?
That's undecided yet.
Oh, okay. The reason I say it, I like it. She really is a great candidate. I'm telling you right now, I'm getting excited to think that she would be running. But go ahead.
Yeah, ideally, I would love her to go for a senatorial bid and primary out Dean Heller. I think Dean Heller has done a lot to damage the president and the agenda. And the current person who's considering primarying out Dean Heller, in my opinion, is not very strong. If you look at his background, you know, with him running for 5, 6 different races.
This is his 6th race.
And he's lost each one. He always wins the primary, but he loses the general. And then when you go, you know, when you pull another piece of this, you know, of the onion of the skin, or the skin of the onion, you'll notice who his donors are, and some of those donors are the same donors that contribute to
people like Harry Reid.
Harry Reid. You know, so why is it that every time he runs against somebody in the general, usually is a Harry Reid supporter or a Harry Reid handpicked on the other side, and why does he seem to lose to those people who are nobodies, like Jackie Rosen? Jackie Rosen came out of nowhere.
She's my neighbor. I didn't even know who she was until she ran for office on the Democrat side.
Yeah, but you know, she's a Harry Reid handpicked supporter. Yeah. So, you know, so I would love to see her run in, you know, as a senator, but that's very expensive. You know, so that's a very expensive race.
If I had over 10,000 people that contributed to my race, then I would consider that. I have to be realistic because you do need money to run. You need those commercials. You need people to find out who you are and where you
are. Here's the first morning. And a Metrofly.
I mean, honestly, Edwin says this, and I'm not going to, you know, gloat over the fact that Edwin has seen me communicate with people. I have over 20 years of interface with the legislature in Nevada. I have been asked to read things for Congress. Hey, look, I was one of the main people that people like Joe Heck took my information, my articles that I wrote as president of the Medical Society to fight Obamacare. Now, granted, you know, he got elected in 2010 because of that. But what ends up happening is, and there's a lot more about me that people may not know, but I've always been defending Americans everywhere. And in Nevada, I have done things that people don't even know about, but you know what? They have great health care because of me. So Edwin knows a lot of those things about me that maybe some of your viewers don't know. So he knows the power of how I love to create solutions, how I love to work with people wherever they are. I work with Democrats just like I work with Republicans. There are American things that we feel passionate about that are not partisan issues, but everybody's making them partisan issues. And they do it to raise money, to, you know, play these little political games. Unfortunately, over the last few decades, what's happened is they're destroying the fiber of our country. And I think President Trump saw that, and that's why he ran for office.
Yeah, and you know, and I've been working with Dr. Annette for 2.5 years for her 2014 run and her 2016 run. Yeah. And you know, we talked about Obamacare and healthcare and how the patient-doctor relationship, because of these acts, has gone farther apart. So you have, you know, the patient here and the doctor here, and you have all these inserted little administrative things that the Obama administration put in, which, you know, you can't take care of the doctor. The doctor can't take care of patients if he's handcuffed. So you know, so we need more doctors in office.
We only have 14 and 535 members. Only 14 doctors, and I think 2 nurses.
Yeah, and 190.
Let me
at least.
Yeah, let me ask you guys. Yesterday, a team, I believe, I don't know how many were they, senators. They are trying to present another bill on the healthcare bill. What's your take on it? I think Senator Graham, I'm not a fan of his, and a couple of others. What do you think they are trying to push if they were not able to do what they were supposed to do before, but they try to present now this new bill? I'm not familiar with it. Maybe you can let us know. What do you think? It was yesterday. It was a bunch of them, I remember.
So, Henry, first of all, I would need to look at the piece of legislation that they proposed, and I don't have that handy, and sometimes that takes, by the way, a long time to look at because you have to look at things that are referenced in there that are already in the law. So I would caution you, I'm not going to give you a definitive answer because I don't have all that, you know, it's not like I sat down and analyzed the bill myself.
Okay.
But I caution you because remember what I said about the Congress that we have. I was in favor of the repeal, not because I thought that it was the best repeal. It was the best repeal that we could do with this Congress. So what we can do with this Congress is somewhat limited. You don't have enough physicians to really talk to their colleagues and say, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, this is for patients, this is for insurance companies, this is for pharmaceuticals. Because those of us that are doctors, like me, I'm not talking about every doctor, but I am very politically knowledgeable and I can dissect those things. So in essence, I guess what I'm saying is, no matter who represents it out of this Senate, especially, it's going to be weak, but it's going to be a step. And we need to start taking our baby steps so that we can start walking.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you. You don't have to put the camera. Marcos, do me a favor. There are a lot of people that are asking questions. I'm going to need Marco to do me a favor. Try to see a question that you can ask, so they can ask also Dr. Annette and also to Edwin. So do me a favor, Marco. If you could read the questions, I'm having a little trouble keeping up with it. So if you can let me know there's a question. We want to answer some questions while we're talking. But go ahead. I'm sorry, guys.
So he's producing. So Marco's turned into a producer.
That's right.
Yes, he did.
Let's see.
Pick one.
While he's looking for that, let me give you a little insight. A few months ago, the White House asked Dr. Annette Teijeiro to go to the White House to talk to HHS Secretary Price and also talk to Senator Dean Heller when they're going through the healthcare bill. Somehow it got nixed at the last minute, and then the result of that was we didn't have a solid healthcare bill.
Okay.
It didn't go through. So they know how strong Dr. Annette is. They called her personally. They got her, she had her plane ticket. I had my plane ticket. I was ready to go. And we were going to meet in DC and really make things happen. But we know how Washington works. If someone's going to be a threat, squash the threat before it actually happens.
And sometimes it's to save face, because if President Trump knows that a Republican's going to react a certain way, he's not going to waste my time. He's not going to waste his time. And he's also going to want to keep working, because that's what you have to do sometimes. When people don't want to come to the table, you have to go where they're at and find out how close you can get them to the table and see if it's worth your while.
Exactly.
So right now, as I said, this is a difficult Congress because it doesn't really match the energy or the focus of the White House.
Right.
Okay, Marco, are you ready?
There's
Marco?
a lot of things in the background that you don't know about Dr. Teijeiro, where she's gone to different states and talk talk to their legislation to formulate their interpretation of Obamacare. As well as squelch some of the things of Obamacare in those different states.
It gets very complicated. It really does. And one of the things is every time we bring something up to the federal level, we have to realize that means that you have less power over it. And this gets very complicated here. If you do your homework, which is what I do, and I think that everybody that's out there that's really enraged or angry about this needs to take that energy, read the bill, figure out what it is that they like, don't like, and call your representatives. Because honestly, Edwin and I can't do anything until we're elected. And that gets to the next point is, you know what, the small contributions, I said that. I remember I said that to you. If I could get $5 from 200,000 Americans, I'd be golden. I wouldn't mind. That's the kicker, is that people that sell their vote, people that are willing to be bought and purchased before they're ever elected, are the ones that come in and they're the ones that are making votes. So that's what we have to live with.
Of course.
Can you send the $5, Henry?
I'll try. Hey, listen, Marco, are you ready for the first question? What's up with our producer? Talk to me, Marco. We got a question. We want a question from the audience.
What's up, guys? Well, I see most of it is just DACA.
Okay.
So there is two questions. There's one is they're asking if Edwin is the guy that's running against Omar. And he's not running against Omar. He's running against Maxine Waters.
Good point.
Right.
But
Omar's not in office.
But DACA. So it's those two questions. Oh, and we have Romney here, Romney Beltran. She's in Georgia. She's the one that helped that race in Georgia.
Oh, okay. Well,
So Romney, meet
Edwin.
and maybe you guys can hook up and you can share some ideas how that.
Yeah,
Tell me,
yeah, definitely. Contact me and Dr. Annette. We would love to work with you in Georgia, or from Georgia. We would love your support in both the California and Nevada races. We think you guys could be very valuable toward
Absolutely.
to our wins.
So that's the question. It's the Edwin and DACA. So everything goes back to DACA.
Yeah. So we have to figure out. Yeah, we have to figure out what to do with DACA. DACA is really interesting. And Dr. Annette and I talked about.
By the way, DACA is not a piece of legislation.
Right. It's not a piece of.
Thank you for clearing it. Yes.
Yeah, the former administration, they use that as a carrot to keep the control of that community. Because he could have easily, he had control of.
Hey,
of
don't get me started on that one. I
Yeah.
started talking about that in 2010. I said, look, the Democrats lied. The president promised that he would address this issue. He had a fully Democrat Congress. They could have very easily solved this problem, and they didn't. You know why? Because they'd rather use it as a wedge issue to divide America than they would to solve it. Because it's multiple layers. It's judicial, because this has people that are in court. It has economic impacts. It has educational impacts. It has a ton of things that are going on. The criminality, which we discussed, the human trafficking, drug trafficking, and sex trafficking, they all go with it. All those things. And it shows a very ugly underbelly of our beast. It really does. Because America's supposed to have a Bill of Rights. But what we're doing is we're circumventing that by creating this kind of slave market. I know people don't like to talk about it that way, but that's what human trafficking is really about.
No, of course.
So these are complicated issues that the Democrats didn't deal with. Instead, they give us the disaster that all of us know as the Affordable Care Act. I say that in quotation.
Yeah, but
or Obamacare.
Yeah,
Have your doctor,
in terms
keep
of,
your
in terms
doctor,
of
don't forget
DACA,
that.
he really weaponized.
He
He weaponized an executive order because he knew that if any future administration would do the right thing and go through Congress, that would be a sour point, one way or the other. So he weaponized an executive order to really hurt the conservative movement. So
well, he did it to hurt America. I mean, who are we kidding? Yeah. It's not just the conservatives. Everybody gets hit. He had
a chance to bring it to Congress, and they could have drafted a legislation, but he didn't do it. He did an executive order. He knew what he was doing. I mean, everybody thinks that Obama is dumb. He's not. He's a constitutional lawyer. He knows what he was doing.
Exactly.
He weaponized it. He weaponized the office, and he really hurt our country. Yeah. I think the president did the right thing by exposing it. Yeah, exposing it and saying, Congress, do your job.
You got your 6 months, do your job.
Yeah.
Quickly, let me ask you guys, what is your take on the two hurricanes, Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma? I have a lot of family and friends out in Florida who are still suffering. Our president today was out there with the vice president. What's your take on it as you see our president being so presidential? I'm so proud of him, how he is out there giving so much support. What do you think about that?
Well, today we've been in the conference and the summit all day, but we know that Perry
was asked to go with the president to assess some of the damage and see how he could help with his department. So we know that the president is being effective and using his cabinet. Look, this is a tragic thing. This is when America can shine the most, though, because Americans together can work on disasters like this. And we're not talking about just Irma and Harvey. We're talking about, major firestorms in Oregon. They've been going on in Montana. Earlier this summer, they were in upper Utah and southern Utah. Americans work best when we work together. And this division of the country into blue and red, that's something that's artificially created by people that want to destroy this country or that want to take advantage of this country. Our president is showing that he's not blue or red. He's red, white, and blue.
Let me ask you guys, this Saturday is the mother of all rallies, more. Yours truly, Marcos, is going to be one of the speakers. Freedom of speech. What do you think about that this Saturday? And it's going to be interesting because we hope they would allow the folks out there that are Trump supporters to actually exercise their freedom of speech. What do you think about more this Saturday?
Well, you know, for myself, you know, I'll be at more, you know, on the early part, because when I booked my my travel plans here, I didn't know about more. Tell the truth, you know, I knew about the Latino Coalition, so I booked my plane to leave in the afternoon at 1 o'clock. So, you know,
And I leave at 2.
She leaves at 2, so I'll be there for the first, you know, at the organizing part of it, you know, to you know, just to show you know, that I support it, that I support more, but. You know, I could change my ticket, but it's going to cost me between $300 and $400.
And you're going to spend that on your campaign.
Exactly. I'd rather use that.
Well,
$300.
what if I get you a bunch of people to give $5 to you guys' campaign? Will you consider going?
Okay.
Yeah.
We consider changing our ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a couple of days. But okay, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
You know what? The First Amendment is important, Henry. The First Amendment is people petitioning their government. We're not talking about going out and doing racist, violent acts. That's not petitioning your government. But the important thing of being able to come to your state capital, address your grievances, that's what's important. And I love our Bill of Rights. In fact, the Second Amendment, I am extremely passionate about. You know why? Because in Cuba, they didn't have a Second Amendment. And what did Castro do? He slaughtered Cubans. You realize that the Castro regime has been one of the most brutal regimes, and now they continue to affect and infect all of Latin America.
Incredible. You guys to your left, you got Marcos, who is a frontline soldier.
Come on in here, Marco.
I'm good.
That's okay. No. We don't have to show, but you want to show Marco. What do you think, Marcos?
I talk to Harry all the time.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
Well,
Marco,
you got
are
a couple thumbs up, so they like your pretty face.
They like your pretty face. Yahoo!
What's
what
up,
do you
guys?
think? Marco, you are a frontline person. You can let Edwin and Dr. Annette know that you are frontline. You've been to Berkeley. You've been in the middle of so many of these rallies. What can you tell? Well, you want to tell the folks how your experience is in regards to a rally and how intense it can get?
You know, I spent part of the evening yesterday with talking to Dr. Teijeiro, and it was an exchange of information that we pretty much agree on a lot of things. But as far as the frontliner that you're talking about, I think it's very important that we continue what Trump started, and I think he activated something in a lot of people, and we shouldn't let it die. And this is a family reunion. This is more because you have people from the East Coast, you have people from the West Coast that are coming together, and the problems that we have are similar. You know, Berkeley, you know that they almost broke my hand with they threw a brick at me.
Oh, really?
So that kind of violence is inexcusable.
Yes. So we're hoping to I guess educate people that the freedom of speech, the exercising of freedom of speech should be something that people should have the right to go in front of the nation and say, hey, this is what I think. So you have a lot of people that have a voice now that before they didn't, and I think it's very important. What kind of part of the question you want me to answer as far as freedom of speech?
No, you did good. You did good. I just wanted to let everybody know that is listening that you are the front line. You've been there to many of these events, and you're going to be there Saturday. Do you feel?
Well, what I can say is, let me say something.
Go ahead.
Edwin, Omar Navarro, Dr. Teijeiro, and they are formal candidates. And sometimes these events are a little too explosive. So I don't recommend to somebody who's running a formal campaign to get too involved and too personal into this, because there's a lot of manifestations. There's emotions that run high in these events, and I mean, it could be, you could be at the wrong time at the wrong place, and there goes you having your reputation. You know, that people can question. Trying to break somebody's head, you know, where you, because that's happening to me. If I'm next to anybody that did something wrong, then they're like, oh, you're with that guy. So I think it's two different things that we're talking about here. We have these people that are going to, they have a more formal approach to what we're fighting for, and then you have people like me and like the rest of the speakers and the rest of the people. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, because I'm sure everybody that is watching, this is great. All three of you, all of you have a special part of this and in the movement. But you, Marco, I mean, I admire you because everybody can see that you are front line. You've been to a lot of these events, and you are very passionate about freedom of speech. So I do applaud you on that. And I pray for your safety and everybody's safety out there, and that is peaceful. We don't hope that anything happens Saturday. So we do pray for that, for peace, okay? Okay, guys, so I guess we lost Marco. If Marcos could go on again, let me see if I can bring him up. Thank you so much. Let's see if we could bring him back up. We just lost him right now. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Henry Grijon live here with Dr. Annette and also with EDWIN DUTERTE, and he's running for 43rd District out there in California against Maxine Waters. And we have Marcos Gutierrez, who is the co-founder for Latinos for Trump organization, and we thank them for taking time. They're at an event, a Latino coalition event, and they are out there just, you know, participating in this event, and they are, you know, speaking to a lot of folks out there that are part of the Latino coalition out there in Washington, D.C., and they are also, you know, Marcos especially, who's going to be a speaker at more, the mother of all rallies. Thank you, everybody that's joined me. I'm still trying to get Marcos to come back up. We lost him, and I'm looking at the system here, and it's saying that it's inviting him. But thank you so much by joining me today. My name is Henry Grijon, and I'm live here in New York City. And we had a little problem with Marcos, but we will continue. I am part of the America First Candidates organization, and that organization has numerous, about, I would say, 8 to 9 candidates so far who are running as America First agenda, and along with Bobby Lawrence, who is a candidate for U.S. Senate out of Pennsylvania. So he's running out there, and Teresa Marie Unruh is the president of America First Candidates. Also, I'm a part of Trump Republican page in which I broadcast. I'm not you know, I broadcast off that page. Today I'm broadcasting off my page, Henry Grijon, but there will come a time that I will be broadcasting off the Trump Republican page. I will put these links up here, but if you want to follow me, tomorrow I might have another special guest. I'm not too sure. I'll let you know. But Saturday, please stay tuned. I'm going to be covering the MORE event, the mother of all rallies out there in Washington, D.C., and I have a couple of folks out there, including Marcos, who's going to be actually reporting for me live. And we're going to be doing this Saturday. And I'll have the links also so you can know that you can join me. Most likely will be in my page. It may be the Trump Republican page, but I'll let you know. But unfortunately, I was not able to bring up Marco. If anything, thank you so much, Marco Gutierrez, for the co-founder for Latinos for Trump. Thank you so much for Dr. Annette. I just met her, and she's great. Hopefully she does consider to run for a seat. She's incredible, full of knowledge. Also, EDWIN DUTERTE, who is running at the 43rd Congressional District in California against Maxine Waters. So thank you so much for joining me. Henry Grijon live here. And that's Madison Rising that's playing in the background. They're going to be performing live in MORE, Mother of All Rallies, and I'll cover it. They are a great group. They're conservative, and they do honor our country, our flag, and our president. So thank you so much. I'm going to cut it short now because we're coming close to an hour. But thank you so much for joining me, Henry Gujon, live here. And I hosted Marco Gutierrez, co-founder for Latinos for Trump, and also EDWIN DUTERTE, who is running on the 43rd Congressional District against Maxine Waters. And Dr. Annette, thank you so much. I'll see if I can get links to Dr. Annette if she's any project that she's a part of. Thank you so much. The folks out there in California, remember, you have strong candidates that I'm going to be introducing in the next week or two, and I'm going to have more congressional folks. I already have 3 already, and yeah, 2 days ago I had one, and his name was Stephen Von Lohr, and he is running in North Carolina for the 4th District Congressional seat in North Carolina. So thank you so much for joining me, and Henry Gujon live here from New York City. And I hope to see you in my program on Saturday to cover more the Mother of All rallies. Thank you so much. Henry Gujon live here. Everyone that's joined me tonight, thank you so much for your support. And until tomorrow, I might have a guest tomorrow night, surprise guest. If not, I'll see you and I'll cover the more event. Thank you so much. Henry Gujon live here. Thank you so much for joining me. That's Madison Rising playing in the background. They're going to be performing live and more. The Mother of All rallies on Saturday. Many Trump supporters and patriots are going to be out there. Thank you so much, and God bless you, and I hope to see you Saturday. Thank you so much. God bless.